Good morning. This is Don from DBH Whitetails. We're taking a little break from hunting. I was just going to give a quick tour of my trophy room to show people some of the trophies I have in here and some of the stories behind them. So to start out, the deer on the top is an 8-point. That was a bow kill. I harvested it in 2024. That was a morning hunt. He had come in, I grunted, I can't say I grunted him in, I grunted and he came in to about 30 yards. I had marked a part on the ground. I knew exactly where 30 yards was. So at that time I was shooting a 3-pin and I put my 30-yard pin on him and I put a really good hit on him. I was using a Luminoc, and even though during the day I saw the Luminoc, like the back of it light and go right through him. So it was a great feeling. I knew I put a really good hit on him. The one below it is from this year, 2025. He was shot in October. And again, that was actually the same stand. And he came in, he was probably out about 200 yards, and some deer were just chasing and running around. And he started walking towards me and then kind of got off the trail that would have been 30 yards and got closer and then took a hard left. So I actually shot him broadside at about 19 yards. This was a great harvest because I really felt like I put a really good shot on him. And I did that. He only went about 30 yards and piled up in some brush. So the fact I put 2 really good shots on those deer made me feel pretty good. The one on the bottom is my first 10-point, legit 10-point too. This deer I harvested in 2023. That's my largest archery buck to date. That's an 8-point. That was an evening hunt. I was actually hunting late October, and I shot him in the rain. It wasn't pouring down rain, but it was a really ugly, cold, drizzly night. I decided to go out anyways, and he came in right at me. And literally, I couldn't get him to turn, or he didn't turn. And I ended up shooting right down on him. Not the best circumstances, probably 9 yards or less. After I shot him, I really felt like it was a lethal hit. He ran off. Of course, it's raining out. I actually hired a dog. I had mistakenly thought he went a different direction, and we couldn't find him with the dog. And then the dog handler, we decided to regroup. He consulted with some of his peers, and we started again, and we found him actually piled up like 300 yards or less from the impact point. It was a lethal hit. He didn't go that far. It was kind of an error on my part, misleading where I thought he went. So a good lesson in perseverance. Never stop looking. Always keep looking if you think you got a deer. This is actually my largest deer to date. This is a 2011 deer. I harvested him with a shotgun. It was a morning hunt. He was running through a hayfield at a pretty good clip. Went into some woods, and then he was just booking through the woods, kind of slowed down, twisting and turning. And fortunately for me, I was able to get him in my crosshairs and put a really good shot on him. He didn't go very far after he got hit with a 12-gauge slug, but he was aged at 6.5. So for you deer hunters out there, that if you see someone like him, you don't actually want to let him walk. He's actually in the record book, the Commemorative Bucks of Michigan record book for that year. That's a turkey I harvested this year. I'm very much a novice turkey hunter. The thing about this turkey, that's the first turkey I actually ever called in myself. I was hunting alone. I called him in. It was a really windy day. Called him in, and I was able to harvest him. So that was a great hunt for me as a novice turkey hunter. So this buck here, that's a 2014 archery buck. So I had shot a smaller buck, I think a 7-point or 8-point or something, with my bow as my first archery, but I kind of felt like this was my first archery shot where I actually had a buck with some bone on him. Not massive, but the thing about him is this is actually my furthest archery shot. I shot him about 32 to 35 yards. Oddly, I actually heart shot him. I'd never done that before and had never done it since. Right through the heart, and he ran out into a field, and I saw him go down. Actually, I was kind of doubting if I actually did, but he ran out of the field and dumped, and that was great. reward is at that time an archery hunter, but didn't have a ton of experience, so that was a great hunt for me. This one here is a shotgun hunt. So what happened was, I've got a stand I call the Secret Sanctum, just a goofy name for things, but it's really embedded in really heavy cover, so you don't have a lot of vision. And I sat in the stand, early morning hunt, and this guy came in. I heard him rustling through the woods, just back and forth, back and forth. Couldn't see him because it's so thick. And then he just kept moving and moving, and then finally I peeked behind him, which I don't really recommend looking behind you a lot. That's one of my kind of self rules, but I looked behind me, and I was able to get him in my scope, and I'm not kidding, I shot him between like 10 and 15 yards with a shotgun. So he expired immediately. It was just I guess a good lesson in patience, maybe. So this deer I shot a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, archery hunt. He's got one side more developed than the other. So funny thing about this hunt was this buck was on a doe. So a doe is coming like straight in on me. He's behind her, maybe 20, 25 yards. I see him come in, and my mind is like, okay, get your bow ready. And when I stood up and started like maneuvering, I dropped my grunt call. It fell on the ground, hit the metal on the tree stand, you know, that clink, clink sound. The doe stops, looks up. He stopped, looks up. Now I've got him frozen at about 26 yards. Not a great angle or anything. I waited, and I was able to put an arrow in him. I shot him a little back. He ended up running north. We ended up recovering him on the property that same night. But again, a mistake I made, and you know, it kind of goes to show that even when you make a mistake, you can recover, but just crazy things happen when you hunt. This next deer is my favorite mount. This is an archery kill too. So what happened on this guy was, I'm hunting in that same stand I call the Secret Sanctum, and the night before, I have an encounter with him. He shows up on my far right, and I'm a right-handed shot. So as I'm trying to maneuver for the shot, I spook him. He runs off into the woods, you know, kind of takes a few bounds and leaves, and I'm really kind of bumming out. I'm mad at myself for, you know, being clumsy or whatever. Call one of my friends, Matt, and I told him about the encounter and said, hey, what do you think I should do? He said, get yourself in that same stand first thing in the morning. So I did, and I was really fortunate. As I'm hunting the early morning the next morning, this guy shows up. Now he comes down a trail on my far left, and I'm ready for him. So I was in the seated position at full draw pretty quickly. He came in, and I was able to put a really good shot at him at like 15 yards. And I mean, for spooking him the night before, I was really fortunate that he came back. So his position in that mount is kind of the way I remember him coming in, and it's probably one of my favorite memories because I spooked him, he ran off, but I was able to find him the next morning. This buck is a shotgun kill a little bit earlier in my hunting experiences, and this is probably the only buck I've ever shot where there's snow on the ground. This was a rifle hunt. Shot him with a shotgun, and we had, 2-3 inches of snow on the ground. He went past my tree stand, I don't know, 50, 60 yards, and I was able to harvest him and actually watch him go down in the snow. That's just kind of a different experience. I hope to maybe do that someday in archery, but that's my only snow buck ever. This is actually my first turkey. Again, the same friend of mine, Matt, was calling for me. I shot him with a shotgun, probably like 50 or 55 yards. It was pretty far. I only put like 1 or 2 pellets in his head, but he dropped. So that was my first turkey hunt, and that was really fun because I was just getting started. Still very much a novice turkey hunter, but that was a great hunt for me. So this is my trophy room. Again, my wife's got a rule. I'm only allowed to put deer in one room in the house. I've got several others, shotgun bucks and archery bucks that they're either in storage or I gave them to my nephew or put them somewhere else. But these are the ones I have in this room. So that's the trophy room for DBH whitetails. Everyone have a great season and wear your lifelines.